Happy Monday, traders. It's 8:02 a.m. Chicago time on the 4th of June, 2018. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So overall, we're opening up in an interesting area, at least in the S&P minis. Let's talk about that for a minute as soon as we're done with the recap. But overall, the market looks like it's allocating to risk this morning. The leader is the Euro Stoxx 50, up 0.76%, followed by the Dow DAX. The laggard today, again, is crude, down 12 cents. Crude is trading July. A reminder that the treasuries, U.S. treasuries, are trading September now. Just remember to reload your data so that it's back adjusted and continuous. As far as what's going on here, again, we're opening up in a pretty an okay sized gap above a key area in the ES today. Not much in our way. We do have durable goods orders at 10 Eastern for April, and factory orders also at 10 Eastern for April. And other than that, it's fairly quiet on the calendar. We did have non-farm payrolls on Friday, and it ended up being a relatively active day for a summer NFP release. But overall, we followed we executed the primary scenario. So let's take a look at what was expected Friday versus what we got. Here's the primary scenario. Market was in balance for a couple of days. We have a composite as a result with some heavy volume down below at 27.05 and a quarter based on trading that occurred on the last day of May. And then we open up in a gap from the prior day's close on Friday. The expectation was for a small test into the prior range, and or we opened up close to a gap, and then continuation higher. Was looking for this to get to 27.36, 27.36 being a naked point of control up here, and it was pretty much right on the dot with a little bit of jiggle here and there. Here's what actually happened. Opened right on the edge of the prior day's range. Open auction. Fairly quiet, and then we move right outside of the prior day's range. This green line here is the prior high or low, in this case high, and we pushed right into the first stock zone at 27.28 or so, and then rotated back down to the open on the tick. And then we have this explosive move to 33.50. 32.50 has been an important stock zone that has been removed now. And then we ended up pushing to the 27.36 point of control. We went to 27.37 before going sideways into the close. The point of control for Friday, just outside of the IB. And we have a normal variation, or a normal day actually. We have a normal day where we have a small extension above the IB in one direction only. Overall, a pretty nondescript day, other than the fact that we just completely rejected the 27.20 area, which was the MC point of control and the big balance area for the last few months. So that's how we ended up. We ended up with a pretty decent delta. There was pretty good activity on the buy side as far as aggressors. And if you look at the rotations, it's clear that the better rotations, the bigger rotations throughout the day until down here have been to the buy side. So we had this drop, which occurred early on, which then was refuted immediately for the run to 27.33.50, and from there on out, we spent more time rotating up than down. You see these small down rotations. It doesn't take very many bars before they are canceled. So that's how things are shaping up. I want to spend a little bit of time today talking about the bigger picture. And I'm talking about the big picture. The first thing I want to show you is just a weekly profile chart. Each one of these represents 1 week of trading in the ES. The coloring is based on the day of the week. And what these are is the colored part is TPO charts, time-based charts, and on the right, those are volume at price or volume profiles. And you could just see that since the second, we have been kind of just trading sideways in this 2600 to 2740 range for the last 4 months or so. And lately we've just been sitting sideways for weeks. We've sat sideways here. Our volatility had shrunk for a while, and it picked up on Friday a little bit. And overall, we extended last week, had an extended range. We tested down and failed to hold prices down to 2675 being the last weekly low, which happens to be the point of control down here for a few weeks before that. And we bounced right back up, and we ended up closing way up here, closing at the extreme of the of that weekly profile. Now I want to bring this a little bit closer, and what I've done here is I've taken, one second, I've taken these daily market profiles. So let's zoom in a little bit so you can see. These are daily market profiles. This is traditional market profiles. And I merged them to the right. I merged them on top of each other from the time we got into balance from May 9th all the way through till Friday. And what we've done here is we got down to 2675, okay, and which was the low last week. And then we have spent just a crap ton of time right up in here with a point of control of this around 2718 to 2720. There's an MC point of control 2718 that now got extended and has pushed to 2726. 2726 is now a really important area short term. It's a magnet. So when you look at this profile, you'll see that there's some really distinct areas that we have here, and we've spent a lot of time over the last 3-4 weeks testing those areas and retesting them and testing them and retesting them. And we are opening up here somewhere right now. The S&P is trading 4250. 4250 is right in here where the yellow line is. And we are opening above that with a good base of balance underneath us. This is likely to inform the next move. And then when we shift this backwards, so as we move this backwards to see, okay, what's above here? What I did up here is I took the March 9th to about March 18th or so, those days, and combined them together. And so what I've done here is I've taken the May combination and I've taken the next balance up, the next virgin balance up. In other words, areas that we've moved away from that we have not retested recently. Okay. And then we see very immediately that 2754 and 2758 50 are key areas. This right here. And those are the next magnets up. So those would be the key areas to test upwards. If we stay up here, the expectation is we're likely to test down this morning and continue higher and continue to test these areas. And as we move up through this profile, there will be clear areas that are likely to be tested as we move up. Okay, it looks like we're making our way back up to all-time highs as we move away. The last thing I wanted to show you just as a big picture view is this scary looking chart. This is the composite chart. This shows the day session only, 1 bar per day for day session only. And what we have is a drop, a pull to 27.18. Remember 27.18 just mentioned. Higher low. And then we've consolidated in this area. And we're opening above the balance of this area. That balance is, again, from May 10th. From May 10th onwards. Okay? And so what we've done is, since the drop from the big drop day is the 2nd of February, but the peak is on January 26th. And since then, we have built these distributions. What is this crazy flame-looking thing that you're looking at? Something out of Game of Thrones or something. And what we have here is volume at price. This is how much how much actual volume traded at each price. And we have spent a ton of time in this high volume node. We have spent a ton of time recently, basically a good part of 2 to 3 weeks in the middle of the profile, where we've built a lot of balance, and we are shifting up, and we are getting into this low volume node. And as we get above the low volume node, we start to target the next balance area above, right? So I talked about 2754, 2754, 2758. That's the next balance. That's going to be that's likely to be the next magnet up as we push through the low volume node here at 2742. Our next target up is 2754. And if we hold 2754, not reject it, and come back to 2742, then we're likely to work our way through and move into the next high volume node. And that price up here is 2789.75. That's just the big picture. Note, though, for you, note how the market moves and tangles with these high volume areas. Now, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. While that volume is there because we traded there, it doesn't mean it was there when the market got there. Well, it was just a lot smaller. You know, this high volume node may have been that much. So before we tangled with it, I can show you how that looks. Before we tangled with it recently, in the recent weeks, we can roll this profile back and see that before we even got there, you see this high volume node right there, and how as we trade it, it just starts to build. That's acceptance. That is acceptance right before your very eyes. Acceptance to the point that the point of control shifts. There it is. This day shifted the point of control up to 2720. And so now we know we have a ton of energy in this area for the next imbalance move. We've been inside of balance for some time, and now we're looking for, okay, we've got enough energy to potentially get out of balance and push through this low volume node to start exploring the next area up, which is 2754. So very methodical process, with the key target being this gap right here. That's the biggest untested area since the sell-off, and that's the likely that's what we're likely moving towards if we get above 2807. In fact, if we get above this 2789, 2790, then the big target becomes this gap zone, this unauctioned area left behind from February. Okay, so that's what the market is achieving. It has traded the living crap out of this area, and it's starting to move away, and it's building its way back to 2754, unless of course something happens, Korea, whatever, who knows. But we can't account for news. I like to know what the news is, but I can't account for it. I have to trade what's in front of me until new inputs come in and the market revalues itself, usually in a trend which I'm not very good at trading. And then it starts to balance and then discover what the balance areas around it, which I'm good at. Okay, so carrying Friday's action into last night's open and what's happened so far, the market is clearly showing strength here. Okay, the overnight session shows that we are well above the mid. We spent little time below the prior close. I would say probably 80 to 90% of the overnight inventory is long, and we have a point of control that has shifted up to 27.43 and a quarter, or 43 even now, and we are holding steady right near the highs. This is a pretty strong opening, relatively strong opening, with the mid and the high in the area of 27.37. So that'll be the line in the sand here. Yeah, the prior day's high. As long as we remain above the prior day's high, I'm going to just be looking to the long side. A quick reminder, this Thursday, there's a public AMA. Haven't done one in a long time. I ended up not doing it last Thursday, because it was a short week. But we'll be doing it this Thursday. Look for a link to register in tomorrow's Trader Bite, but also look for tweets about it on my Twitter account, twitter.com/futurestrader71, for the link to register. Again, registration, just because you're offering up your email to register does not mean that gives me the right to spam you or send you stuff that's unsolicited. I do need you to register to be able to attend, though. Don't be, I just don't want you to be concerned that I'm selling your information. Your information is never sold. So what are we looking for today? In order to do this, we shift everything down. See that gap zone above? That's the pie in the sky. That's the big area above that we're looking at. We started breaching it in the overnight session. We started breaching it in the overnight session. The mid of the gap is at 49, and 54 is the big area up above. So where we're opening above the Friday high. We're opening just a little bit above the MC, the micro composite in this area. 27.41 and a quarter is a big price, big resistance area. If you have not done so, you can follow that price along. In fact, let me show you how far back it tracks. This is 27.41 right here. If I track these charts back, you'll see it get dinged multiple times. There's 27.41.75. As we scroll back in time, we see that it's an area that was rejected multiple times. Oh, there it is. You see, well, let's shift this over so that it's not so hard to read. But it's important to do this exercise where you're just looking at, okay, even if you're getting these stock zones as a convergent member, you should look at why, or try to figure out why this stock zone exists. But you can see that on the 22nd, we tagged it. On the 14th, we tagged it. It was an excess high right here, right there. There's an excess high right there. The market sold off right away. And it's a sell-off point right there. Okay. And then as we shift even farther back in time, we see that we start to, this area has just been a pivotal area, 42.50, 41.75, 44. So it's just, there have been so many tests and retests in this area, and we are above it. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. We are opening above it, just a tad above it. So I'm expecting this to be a battled area. I expect an open auction out of range. I expect us to make an attempt lower. I expect an impulse higher, break the overnight high, start working our way through the gap zone, and then eventually I'm looking for a test of the 54, and then I expect the market to hold steady up here. Friday was a gap and go. It was not a gap zone, but it gapped above the prior day's price. I expect more of the same today. Friday's numbers were pretty good, even though the market sold off a little bit. But that's the key plan for today. The secondary is an immediate push that gets us into the overnight high. So we have initiative buying that meets sellers and then starts to work itself back into the prior day's high. And then I expect this to pull back and get tangled in here later in the session. That's my second plan. So if we take off immediately, you know what? I'm not a breakout trader. I'm not a chaser. I don't have FOMO issues. It's not my trade. So I just let it go. But as it approaches stock zones and as it approaches the overnight high and so on, I'm going to be looking very carefully to see how well are the buyers being compensated for their effort. Is the delta with buyers and they're gaining ground, or is the delta with buyers and they're not going anywhere? Then I would look to see if I can. I would look to see if I have an opportunity at scenario number 2 to take the short back to the prior high at 27.37, and then the key target will be the point of control beneath that right here at 34. And then I expect it to get tangled, and it may break through and down into 27.26, which is the MC point of control for this area. But those are the two key scenarios. Again, I want to remind you, Thursday, public AMA. This was a long one, but it is Monday, so they're usually long. Good luck today. Mind your risk.